everyone, welcome to episode 58 of the arieknits podcast. My name is Ariel, and this is a video podcast where I talk about all the things that I have been knitting and spinning on for the past week. So today it is Sunday, January 21st. I usually film on Saturdays, but lately the schedule has been a little different than my usual, so I am filming on Sunday. I hope that this video can get out hopefully by Monday, and the reason for that is because I went to a really fun event yesterday. It was the brunch with Sari Nordlund at La Mercerie. And so, yeah, I had an absolute great time, and I will talk about it more at the end of this video. So, yeah, we will save all of that fun talk for the chatty bit at the end of the video, but we will get right into the content for this video. So, real quick though, summary-wise, I have a couple finished objects to talk about. I have more works in progress, and I have a new cast on that I'm really excited about. And yeah, I have some small acquisitions to also talk about. And yeah, we'll just get started. So what I'm wearing today, I am wearing the Dad Sweater by Emily Curtis. I was trying to think about what I wanted to wear for today's podcast, and I was like, let me just wear what I was wearing this whole morning. So I'm filming in the afternoon today, so I wore the sweater out all day today, and I was like, I don't feel like changing into another sweater. And I love this one, so I will just wear it. You've seen this before, and if you've seen my everything I made in 2023 video, this was also the same sweater that I was wearing in that video, but it's because I love it. I made it in some of my handspun. This was my first handspun sweater, and the fiber was Lobby and Aimee fiber, the Confetti fiber, so it has all of that really cute neon tweed bits in there. But it is one of my comfort sweaters, and so it is what I'm wearing today. It's not a new finished object or anything like that, but yeah, just wanted to give you a quick thing about what I'm wearing just in case this is your first time tuning in. So, oh yeah, and as I usually do with what I'm wearing, even though this isn't a new finished object, because every time I do talk about what I'm wearing, I say what measurements I have. Anyway, so I got 40 inches in circumference for this at the widest part right under the arms. So that gives me about 10 inches of positive ease. So it's a very comfy sweater. Again, it is one of my comfort sweaters, and I just really like that amount of positive ease for something like this, and really like it. So that is a quick what I am wearing today, and we will talk about my two finished objects for this week. Let's actually start with, because one is a surprise, not a surprise, but a surprise to you. Let's start with the one that is not a surprise, though. I finished my DRK Everyday Socks. The pattern is by Andrea Mowry. This is the first time I've made this pattern, and I don't think it'll be the last time I make this pattern. It is a 2x2 ribbed sock. It is toe up, and it has a fleagle heel. This is the first time I've done this type of heel, and I think I really like it. It was pretty easy to do. You didn't have to do any kind of like picking up stitches or anything, so I actually really enjoyed it. The toe... Oh, okay, I finally figured it out. The toe cast on in the previous, I think either last episode or 2 episodes, I was like, I really like the cast on for this toe, and I couldn't remember what it was called. I believe it is the Turkish cast on. And so, yeah, I just really enjoyed learning that. I think it's awesome. It's easy to do, and it gives you a really nice seamless start to working in the round, and so I thought that was amazing. I used my handspun, one of my handspun skeins of yarn. One of my first ones, actually. I believe that this was my first fractal spin. with a fiber, and it was a Polwarth fiber from 316 Dye Studio. I actually got it from Flock Fiber Festival last year, and the colorway is called Desert Rose. And so I think, oh, these are also my first handspun socks. I don't know why it took me so long to make handspun socks, but I'm really happy that I did. I did not block these yet, so they are looking extra long and very skinny, but that's because they are ribbed. But I think seeing it in a sock like this, which is basically a tube, you can kind of see how those colors change with the fractal spin. So I'm still trying to see, like, figure out if I split the fiber a certain way, how does that end result kind of work up in a knit that I do. And I think you're able to see, so one, there are stripes, like bigger chunks of stripes. There were maybe like 3 main colors in this fiber. Some of the other colored fiber I have spun, there were 5, and so there were probably more color changes. But this is a 2-ply yarn, so you can maybe tell in certain sections where the different, I guess, plies like are different colors. I think they call that barber polling. The colors are very similar on this, so it might not be, it's not as drastic, but like this section, one ply is like a light pink and the other is like the darker maroon color, like in this section. And so you can kind of see that progression of like, oh, it's the, I guess we start at the toe, it's a lighter color, and then it kind of, there's still the lighter color, maybe is like one section might be like up to here, that one of the plies, I don't even know if that's like correct terminology, but like one of the plies is like the light color, and then you can see the other one started as a light color, moved into a dark color, and slowly getting, or it like transitions back to the light color and slowly changing back into the dark color, and then it kind of switches into the dark color for this section, and the other ply is kind of switching through more quickly, going through the light and dark. If that makes some kind of sense. I think it'd be easier to talk about if I had like very different kind of colors happening, but this is very like all in the same color family, I would say, pinky, purple, just like light and dark. But I really like it. As you can see, they are not symmetrical, but I wasn't planning on it being symmetrical at all, although the toes are like the same color, which is kind of fun. And yeah, I enjoyed working these. I'm very happy with the result. I did try them on, so they do fit my foot. I made size 7, which is the women's medium size in the pattern, and I used US 1 needles to make this, and I want to make it again. I think this might be one of my go-to patterns for knitting handspun socks, just because I think the ribbing makes it probably more forgiving size-wise, especially because with handspun, I was noticing as I was knitting through my skein, it started getting thinner, and then to be some thick spots, and then it would get thinner. So I think the ribbing would help if there's any inconsistencies with handspun, just to make sure that it still fits your foot. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to wearing these, and I am excited to knit another pair of handspun socks. I did not make a lot of socks last year. I think I made 3 socks. And so this year, because I love wearing hand knit socks. I was going to say handspun, but these are my first handspun socks. I love wearing knitted socks, and so I would love to make even more knitted socks. And now that I spin, I think it'd be really fun to have some handspun socks, and also like a great way to see how my spins knit up, especially with any kind of like color changing that happens. So I am really happy with the result on this. It was, oh my gosh, this was my first cast on of 2024, and now it's done. I cast this on January 1st, and so I feel very satisfied that they are now done. So that is my DRK Everyday Socks by Andrea Mowry. And then I have a finished object that was not even cast on last week. I did show a gauge swatch though that I made last week, and right after that, right after I filmed, I cast on and I finished it this week. I could not stop knitting on it. It flew by. It was so fun to knit, and I like seriously could not stop knitting on it. So if you haven't seen last week's video, then you're like, what are you talking about? I will hold it up. Are you ready? It is my Doppio Sweater by Seunghee. And okay, I finished this fast, but it is because it is a very big gauge sweater. Like, it is, at least, so the yarn combination I used for this, it was 2 fingering plus a Suri, all 3 held together. So it was worked with, so US 7 for the ribbing, US 10 needles for the rest of the body. And so seriously, this knit went by so fast. It was just so fun. It was so fun to make. I was really happy with the color combination. I did do the gauge swatch, so I knew kind of what the colors would look like, but just seeing it in sweater form just made me even more excited about it. And it's so good. I did not block it yet, and so that is one reason why I'm not wearing it for today's video, is because I want to wear it and show it to you on me after I block it, just so that the sizing and everything is just, laid out the way that it's going to be, because I usually block my things. And yeah, okay, I feel like I have a lot of things to say about this, but okay, first off, I talked about the yarn, but I didn't say what they were. So 1 strand of my fingering weight yarn was Lobby and Aimee Merino Twist in the colorway Nymeria, which was my speckly color for this, and you hopefully will be able to see some speckles. Because I was holding it with a different yarn and like a fluff, it kind of tones it down, but I really like how it is, the speckles are toned down, but that you can still see them. And then the other fingering weight yarn I used was Sewrella yarn in the Cashmere sock base in the colorway Nolita, which is a variegated, lightly variegated yarn. It is a light pink and white kind of yarn, and so any kind of variegation you see in here is probably from that yarn, and basically the speckles are from the other yarn. And then the Suri I used is Autumn and Indigo fibers in the colorway Rosewood. It was their Suri silk base, which is this, it's the fluff color. It's the pink color. And wow, I did not think, okay, so backing it up a little bit, I heard about this sweater when it came out. I saw the release for the pattern. I wasn't that interested in making it, and to be completely honest, I was like, it's cute. It looks like a pretty standard raglan sweater. I know that there was a lot of detail, and everyone was talking about the shaping of the raglan, the sleeve and the body, that it was very unique. It wasn't like a straight line diagonally down, and so the fit was going to be great. And that's what I was hearing, but nothing was really drawing me towards making it. And just because I had so many other things that I wanted to make. And then my friend Megan, who also has a YouTube podcast, she made one, and I absolutely loved her yarn combination. And then I saw her wearing it in person, and it looked so good on her, and I was like, okay, I really want to make one now. That's basically what happened. I think a couple days after that, or maybe the day after I saw my friend Megan, that is when I picked my yarn, I made my gauge swatch, made this video, and then I cast on. And I didn't think I was going to love it. I kind of felt like if I found the right yarn combination, I would love how it looked, but I wasn't sure fit-wise. I had high hopes because, again, I've heard good things about it, but I just wasn't so sure. I wasn't very convinced, I guess. But yeah, I was interested to see end result, how it fit, how it felt on me. And the other thing too, I was also not convinced on just the bulkiness of the sweater. I was like, ooh, 2 fingering plus Suri, it's going to feel kind of like a bulky sweater. Like, it might be too warm to wear. I don't know if I would want to wear that kind of sweater. But now that I've made it, now that I've finished it, I haven't blocked it yet, but I've worn it like twice. I love this sweater. Okay, so, other details first. I made size 1, which is the smallest size, and I did use the recommended needle size, which is US 7 and US 10. Okay. First things first, when I was done with this, I immediately put it on because I just wanted to know, like, 1, does it fit? And 2, like, how does it feel? And I absolutely love the fit on this. There is something about the shaping, and hopefully you can see it because my yarn is kind of variegated, but the way that the raglan is shaped, it's not a straight line from the neck to your underarm, but you can see this kind of curve like this. And so there are more increases being done for the body up here, I believe. And then towards the end, there's more increases. Oh no, is it the opposite way? Anyway, there's like one part of it, there's more increases done for the sleeves and the body, and the other times there's more increase done on the body than the sleeves. And so it creates this nice curve. And I think it really is like kind of how the shoulder area is shaped. And it's just really nice to have something that feels like there's no bunching around up here, or there's no extra fabric. I think sometimes for me, sometimes under the arm it kind of feels like there's like too much fabric, or like it's tight in the front but loose in the back, or tight in the back and loose in the front, really just like up here from anything above the underarm. But putting this on, it just felt like it fit. Like, it felt like everything just like fell into place and was really nice. And so that was like number 1. Number 2 was just like the neckband. I was worried it would be too high for me on my neck, just because it does look like it would sit a lot closer and higher, but I really liked where it sat on me. The sleeve length, I followed all of the instructions. I made no modifications except for, in the instruction, for the folded neckband, I did sew it down. I didn't do the knit two together. I didn't knit it together. To fold it down, I bound off and then folded it and then sewed it together. But I think in the instructions it says that you can do that, so other than that, I followed the pattern exactly because I wanted to see the pattern as written. Sleeve length was perfect. The decrease amount and rate for the sleeve was perfect for my arm. I love where the sleeve lands on me, the length. It is longer than my wrist, and I do prefer, if the sleeve couldn't, fit me right at my wrist, I would prefer it to be longer than shorter. And so for me, I just really like where the sleeve fits. Also, in next week's video, I do plan on wearing this, and so maybe that'll make a bit more sense to talk about the fit. But I do want to mention it now as it is more fresh in my mind. But the sleeve decrease rate and just overall width along my entire arm was great. It wasn't too big or loose anywhere. It wasn't too tight anywhere. The cuff was the perfect size where it's not scrunching my wrists, but so it's loose enough to breathe, but I can still roll up my sleeves. I love being able to roll up my sleeves and for it to just like stay there and not feel like I'm stretching it out. So that was great. What else? The body length, I also didn't adjust at all. I think, again, so I will measure it when, like, after I block it to see how much it maybe grew, but body length was also good. It is not cropped, but it's not full length. It's like somewhere in between, but if I wear like high-waisted leggings, it will be fine. Like, I don't like I don't like skin to be showing, but I do like, anyway, yeah, I don't like skin to be showing, so anything too cropped is like a no for me, but I do like where this ends up sitting on my body, and I didn't realize that there were, for my size, there was one section of a body decrease for the body, just so it slims down slightly, and I also thought that fit great. Again, like, it is a stockinette sweater, and so if you do need to, for your own body size and shape, need to adjust maybe where those decreases are, or like length of body, length of sleeve, like that is, it seems very straightforward to do, just because again, it is all stockinette, so you can do what you normally do, knit to the size you normally, or length you normally knit to, but whatever the pattern sizing for size 1, for me, it fit really well. I love this sweater. I want to make a lot more of them, and thankfully in this past week in Seattle, it was quite cold, and so I had the opportunity to wear it while it was cold because it is quite thick of a sweater, but I'm hoping that there will be more opportunities to wear it, even though it is a slightly bulkier kind of sweater. So, but I will say, because the gauge is so big though, it's bulky and it's warm, but it doesn't feel like suffocating. It doesn't feel like that. It does still feel kind of flowy. So again, I will block it this week. I will show it to you on me next week. But yeah, so that is my Doppio. One more thing that I did do. So when I was reading the yarn yardage requirements for this sweater, I was like, oh yeah, 2 skeins each of my fingering weight. And in my head, I was like 2 of the Suri, which I have. And I only had 2 skeins of my Suri. And then I realized I think I would be under the recommended yardage for Suri, because for the fingering weight, I think each of my skeins were a little over 400 yards per skein, so I had like 800. I think the pattern says like 700 something for my size, and the Suri though per skein is like 300 something, and so it got me somewhere. Oh, it got me less. I think maybe only like 20 or 30 yards under the recommended yardage. And so I was slightly concerned about running out of my Suri for this sweater, and I was like, that cannot happen. I don't want that to happen. I don't know what I'll do if that happens, but what I did was I knit. So it is a top-down sweater. You knit from not the collar, but from right under it. You knit, so you cast on there, and you knit down. And my 1 skein of Suri actually took me all the way down to maybe like here. So not the sleeves, but just from the bodies right here, split for sleeve, and pretty much almost to where the ribbing was my 1 skein of Suri, my first skein. So what I did was, for my second skein, I was like, well, if I ever, anywhere on here, if I have to switch to a different color of Suri because I just don't have enough of my first one, where would it be? I want it, not the sleeves. The sleeves have to be all the same color. So second skein of Suri, what I did was I finished both sleeves because I needed those to be the right length. And then what I did was, because I was like, I think that if I'm short, I will be short by just like this much. So I knit my neckband and it's folded, and so the part that is folded inwards, so while you're wearing it you can't see the inside, I actually knit it with a lighter colored Suri that I had left over from, if you can see that. It's actually not that noticeable because I did choose a pink Suri. It's just a lighter pink Suri. You can kind of see that, like just like right here. So I think I might have done maybe like 6 or 7 rows, the last like 6 rows of the neckband in a different colored Suri so that I could hide it. Yeah. Actually, that is also a good reason why I didn't want to wear it today, so I could show you that the inside of this collar is a different colored Suri. Then I finished the neckband because I also wanted that to be the recommended height, length. Then I finished up with the rest of the body with the recommended length. I actually did end up with some leftover of the Suri that I used for this. I could have definitely finished it with the neckband, but I did not want to risk it. So I am not regretting my choices because, again, like you can't see that I changed the Suri color once I wear it. But I'm glad I did that. But now I know that I'm probably would be okay using 2 skeins of Suri when I make another one of these, just as long as I don't lengthen anything else anymore than the pattern, or that I did for here. But yeah, so that is my Doppio sweater. I think that was all I had to say about it. Again, I like really enjoyed this whole knit. It knit up really fast. It's a great fitting sweater and I love it. I love it so much, and you will see it again next week. I will wear it. Don't worry. It's coming back to show itself again. But yeah, so those are my 2 finished objects. I know one of them was also a new cast on, but sometimes I just gotta go what makes me feel happy to work on. So that was this week. Where do I put this now? It's so squishy. It would be good for a pillow too if you have a lot of Doppio sweaters. You can just use one as a pillow while you wear the other one. Okay. Next up, I did work on a few more things. Wanted to touch a bit more projects this week because I think the week before that I didn't really touch that many other projects. So next up, let's talk about my Calm Down cardigan. So I made small progress on this week. I know the week before I made big progress. I was like really into it, but again, this week was all about the Doppio sweater. But I wanted to make some progress on this, actually, because we also had this is a friend knit along, and so we had a Google chat, video chat with our friends knitting our Calm Down cardigan, and so I worked on it then. Here is right now I finished everything, like the body and the button band, and now I just need to finish 2 sleeves. So this is my first sleeve. Last time I worked on the sleeve up till here, and then I worked maybe a couple more decreases for that. So yeah, just some small progress there. These sleeves are huge, and so it might take me a bit longer than some other sleeves, but showing again like my whole cardigan here, I think it's looking really cute, and I think it's going to be really cozy and like easy to put on over other things. Like I feel like I could wear a knitted sweater and wear this cardigan over that knitted sweater, so when it's really cold I think this would be a great layering cardigan. And yeah, we're just working on it. I think I should just work on it just get the sleeves done with. And I wouldn't say that I get on Sleeve Island very much. Like, I actually feel like I kind of like working on sleeves because they feel like they just go by a lot faster most of the time. I don't usually get stuck with like finishing one and have to do the other. Sometimes I do, but it's not really too much of a big deal for me, so I feel like I should just continue working on this. But here's how it's looking. Yarn. I am using Woolberry Fiber Co. Berry DK in the colorway Rabbit Rump, which is really cute, speckly variegated color. And then I am not alternating skeins for this, and I think you can tell that I'm not alternating skeins, especially in this back portion. Like, the top part is just very white. It kind of looks like it almost made kind of like a patterning there, but I'm not that worried about it because my hair is pretty long, and it's usually hanging down in the back, and like I cannot be bothered with alternating skeins for this. And again, it like, even though I notice it, it doesn't really bother me for this project. So yeah, anyway, just wanted to say that because sometimes I do alternate skeins, and I want to let you all know when I do and when I don't. So I'm not alternating skeins for this. But yeah, Rabbit Rump is the colorway, and I am knitting size 1. I'm using US 4 and US 5 needles for this, and the pattern Calm Down Cardigan is by Lily Kate France. I feel like I said all those details in a different order than I usually do, but I hope I ended up saying all the details I usually do. But that is my quick update on this cardigan. Okay, next up I have my Eun Sweater, EUN, by NovemberKnits, and I am knitting this in Woolberry Fiber Co. in the Berry Natural DK and Berry Suri colorway, or Berry Suri base. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm using 2 different yarn bases, same color. So Berry Natural DK held with Berry Suri, both in the colorway Stash, which is this red brown color. And I am knitting size 1. I am using US 7 and US 8 needles. And here's my progress. I have my stitch marker from last week's update on the back here, and so we were still, I'm the only one knitting on this project. I was still working on the raglan increases up here on the stitch marker and just got some ways to go, and then I just today split 4 sleeves and worked just like maybe like 3 rounds for under the arms. And this is what I have. I'm really happy that I got to splitting 4 sleeves to show you what I have for progress this week, because the stitches were getting very squished on my needles, and so it just would have looked like a blob showing it to you. So yeah, this is what it looks like so far. Interestingly, so how I was talking about the raglan increases for the Doppio sweater, that it creates a curved line because it increases and decreases for the sleeves and body at a different rate. This one is a straight line. It does even increases. Oh, I hope I didn't say decrease for the Doppio. I just meant increases. But yeah, this one increases at an even rate on both sides. So for the sleeves and the body, the increases are the same. So it creates a straight line from the neck all the way to the underarm. And it is squished on my needles right now, so it's kind of hard to see. Like, I would love to just like lay this out flat so we could see like the entire sweater and how that looks, but yeah, it is one thing that I'm now noticing when raglan sweaters have what kind of like increased rate they have for the raglan, and if it's different or the same for the sleeves and the body. So I think that will be very interesting. I think that the sleeve depth, raglan depth here from the neck to the underarm is pretty long, which I was kind of expecting from some of the pictures I've seen of this sweater. And so the sleeve, does this look like a big sleeve for a sweater? Don't know, but it will be very interesting to see how this kind of lays on a body. So that is one thing I'm kind of like keeping an eye out, is just like, yeah, that sleeve or armhole depth and how it's going to look on me. So once I get a little bit more of the body done, I think I will be able to put them on some extra cords so I can try it on and see how it's looking, and then kind of figure out what we're going to do about that. Right now, for the underarm, if you've seen or not seen this sweater pattern before, it has a very long hem for the sweater, and it's a split hem. So I might only be working in the round under the arm for, I don't know, maybe a little more here before, and actually you can decide. It does not have to be a very long split hem, but I would really like a long split hem. But I need to decide, I need to try this on at some point and then see where I want the split to happen. So I think I really like how it looks on, I believe it's the picture of the designer, or at least their like pattern pictures, where I think the split hem, so if my actual like underarm is like up here, their split hem seems to be like maybe like right under their chest. It will split, and it just like, the split happens, and so there is an opening of front and back, but it kind of is like the rest of the length of the body of the sweater. I do want it to be, yeah, I think I want the split to be about here on me, and again my underarm is like right here. So depending on how deep that armhole is, I might really only need to knit a couple inches. So yeah, I'm just gonna knit a few more rows, do my measurements, try it on, and then kind of see where that happens. So it'd be really cool to hopefully show you all the start of the split hem and how that looks. I'm very excited about it. It is the whole reason I am making this sweater. I really like that very long split hem deal that's going on with the sweater. So yeah, that is my Eun sweater so far, and yes, I think that is all I have to say about that sweater. Okay, next up I have a project that I haven't shown in a little. It is my Mackenzie shawl by Sari Nordlund, and I did make some progress on it this weekend. It is the project I brought with me to La Mercerie's Crafternoon to knit on, because it is the one Sari Nordlund project I have on my needles, and I wanted to bring a Sari Nordlund project to the hangout session with Sari Nordlund. So this is my Mackenzie shawl, although it's like a scarf too, because it's just a long rectangle. I am using, it is a 2-color brioche, and I am using Olivia and Oliver Fibers classic sock base in the colorway Feather, which is this white speckly color. And then I am also using Woodland, which is this brown pink variegated color. And I really like how they look on both sides. I like that you could, when you wear it, you could choose kind of which side you would like to show more, or just have kind of both happening at the same time if you kind of like twist it around and stuff. So right now, I mean, it is quite long right now. So it's a 2-color brioche, but there's like this really interesting diagonal garter stitch line that crosses through, and it happens for a total of 4 times. So right now I am working on finishing up the 3rd one. So we are well over the halfway point. We are almost 3/4 of the way done with this, and so I find that very exciting. Yeah, here, we're working towards finishing up this 3rd diagonal line, and then hopefully we can start the 4th one this week, because that would be great to just feel like we're making progress. So yeah, I do have my stitch marker to show you lengthwise. Because this project is so long, sometimes, or definitely if I don't put in a stitch marker from where I started for the week, it feels like I got nothing done. But I always surprise myself with how much I got done. So this week, I started here, and this is how much I got done. Like, that's a substantial amount of length to get done. So it's always very exciting and feels very encouraging for me when I work on my projects. Because even knitting 2 rows, you're like, oh, it was only 2 rows, but when you look at it, you're like, it is adding length. I did make some progress, so it's been good. Yeah, this is a one-size pattern, but I think once you see what the pattern is and like what the repeat is, it's very easy to change up the size, because you don't have to knit 4 stripes. Like, you can just stop after the 3rd one and then just continue on. You also can make it thinner. Like, you don't have to cast on the same number of stitches. You can cast on even less. You can still copy kind of like what that recipe is like once you kind of get that pattern down. You could probably use this with a different weight of yarn. It might be hard to figure out how much yarn you would need if you use a different weight of yarn, but I think just pattern-wise, it is very adjustable for yarn weight and length and width for whatever you are looking to have. So it is something I am going to keep in mind if I have some kind of like leftover skeins, or just like 2 skeins that I think would look good in kind of like a 2-color brioche situation. And so yeah, it's been going well. It's just, again, it's really long, but I feel good about making progress on this knit. And then the last project I have to talk about knitting-wise is a new cast-on this week. And I want to give the credit to my friend Megan, who gave me this idea because she gave me the idea, and so I cast it on. I cast on the Sweet Shop blanket. It is a pattern by Laura Penrose. I have been looking at this pattern ever since it came out, and I wanted to make it. I just didn't know what colors I would make it with, and kind of would get overwhelmed with like all of the different color combinations I could do. Do I make it scrappy? There were so many options and color combinations for it, but I felt like whenever inspiration for it happens, it'll happen, and that's when I'll cast on. And Megan was like, oh, you should use your Paisley Knits Seasons boxes, sock sets. So in 2023, last year, I bought Paisley Knits season boxes. So she had they were like mystery boxes, but she did have kind of like inspiration pictures for each season. So she had a spring, summer, fall, winter box, 4 boxes. And I wanted to get all the colors. So what I did was I subscribed for the sock sets for each of them. Each season's box had 4 sock sets, so 4 full skeins of the variegated color, and the minis were the totals for that season. So in total, including the minis, there are, well, I guess you can say that there are 16 variegated, and 16 tonals. So, is that right? I think that's right. So, I didn't use any of the yarn from that last year. I was just kind of waiting, again, for some inspiration to hit. And I thought it'd be really cool to use them all, either all of them, so like the whole year of the sock sets in one project, or at least the seasons to have their own project all together, because they look great together. Like each of the seasons look great together, and then I wasn't sure about all of them all together because they have different vibes because they were different seasons, but I thought it would be cute to kind of like keep them all together. I do like collections in that kind of sense. So anyway, long story short, long, I just made it long. Sweet shop blanket, and then all I had to do was figure out how many squares I wanted to make and in what kind of orientation I wanted all the colors. So I ended up on a 8 by 8 square blanket is the plan. So that should use up all of my, well, it should, the plan is for each color that I have, variegated and mini, to make 2 squares of each. So I'll have 2 squares of each color. That should use up the entire mini and just like, 20 grams of my full skein. And anyway, let me just hold it up while I talk about it, because if you haven't seen it, you might also get confused. I finished my first, 2 by 2 square. So each sock set will get their own 2 by 2 square. And as you can see, so like for this one, the tonal, like the mini, is the 2 light green here. And so both of these squares used up the entire mini. I had to make some adjustments because I ran out of yarn, but I'll tell you what that is in a minute. And then these 2 are the variegated full skein. So I still have a lot of that full skein left, but this is what I'm going with. And so again, each sock set will have their own 2 by 2 square in this kind of configuration. And what I am planning on doing is there is 4 sock sets in each season. And so each season will have their own 4 by 4 square. And so I will have this square, this 2 by 2, another 2 by 2, another 2 by 2 up here, and another 2 by 2 over here to make a 4 by 4 square for one season. And then I'll have spring, summer, fall, winter, or in a different order. But they'll all be in their own squares on the blanket, and I think that will be really cute. I hope it'll turn out really cute. This was very fun to make. Very interesting technique. I was not sure how this was knitted up because, and again, if you haven't seen this pattern before, the squares are knit diagonally so that you are just knitting with one color at a time. So you are doing like increases and decreases to make a square. I think the techniques are really interesting, and also there is no seaming on this blanket. So when you attach another square and you knit it, you're actually just picking up from 1 or 2 of the edges to make this blanket. And I think that is so smart, because if I had to seam this all together, I think I maybe would not do it. But because there's no seaming, I was like, yes, I want to attempt this. And I think it's really cute. So yes, there's one modification. So, okay, I had to make a modification for this already, but it's fine because, again, it's a blanket and it doesn't really matter. So the size of the squares and stitch count is also very adjustable, and in the pattern it describes how you can do that. So my first square, which is this one, and these 2 squares are actually 1 increase smaller than the pattern's original size and stitch count. So whatever stitch count it has, like when it's, if, for example, these are not like the real numbers, but if it says to do the increase round like 5 times, I did it 4 times because I weighed my mini and I was like, I'm not going to make it. I'm going to use up more than half just to make the one square. So I had to make my square a little smaller than the pattern. So my stitch counts are a little less. But when I went to do this square, so this was the last square that I added to this, I actually ran out of my mini with one more increase. I needed one more increase to be the same size as the rest, but I did not have enough yarn. And I was like, if this is happening to this first mini, it's going to happen to the others most likely. So I just made, while I was making it, I just like didn't do the last increase. And so now this square is actually 1 increase smaller than these. So it is 2 increases smaller than the pattern numbers state. But it's totally fine. Like if I'm holding it like this, I don't think you can tell. Also, as a blanket, like it's going to stretch, you're going to like move it around, like it's doesn't really matter. So, but with that, it's good to keep notes on stuff like that so that when you pick up stitches, you know how many stitches to pick up because it will be a modification from what the pattern says. So I did take notes, and so from now on for the blanket, I will be following the stitch count that I used for this last square. But other than that, it's actually very fun to knit, although each square takes me a lot longer to make than I thought it would. I think it might take me a little over an hour per square, which feels like it's not right. Like maybe I'm looking at the clock wrong. I didn't like set a timer and knit it. I just kind of like briefly looked at the clock. I might have like rounded up the time, but I think it might have taken me like an hour, a little over an hour for each square. Could also be because I'm reading the instructions and each of these was kind of a new technique for me, but I like how it's turning out. I like how it looks. I'm really excited to see more colors joining this little thing, and I'm excited about it. So, and I'm hoping that this, well, it will be a more long-term project, so I don't know how often I'll be working on this or how many times I will like knit on this. I was like, do I do 1 sock set per week? But this did kind of take a good amount of time in the week, so I'm not gonna hold myself to that, but maybe in general, maybe 1 sock set per week or every 2 weeks. Maybe, I feel like 1 square per week would be too long, but also not terrible. 2 squares per week? Don't know, but we'll figure it out. I did 4 this week, so, but it's because it's a new cast on, and I usually work on new cast ons a lot more in the beginning. And what else do I have to say? I think it's cute. I like these colors a lot. And oh, the white color that is accompanying each of the actual colors is just undyed yarn. It's nothing crazy. I have some undyed yarn. I want them all, I basically just want the actual sock set colors to shine, to be like the star in this blanket, and so I just have undyed yarn, undyed merino yarn for this. Oh, also I am holding the yarn double for all of these squares. So I'm using fingering weight yarn, but holding it double. So it is kind of more of a DK weight yarn. The garter stitch on this makes it very squishy, and so I think it will be a great blanket. Okay, what else? Yes, I'm using US 6 needles for this. I believe that is the recommended needle size. And yeah, it's a fun project. I think there's been a good amount of people making this project, and it's a great like stash busting project too. And yeah, I'm liking it so far. I can't wait to see how it looks with all of the different colors. Okay, so that is my Sweet Shop blanket update, and that is all of my knitting works in progress. Okay, I just have a quick update for my spinning. The only thing that I spun on this week was my Nest Fiber Club Targhee fiber in the colorway Cassiopeia. It's the same one that I've been working on the past couple weeks, but I did finish I am doing a 2-ply fractal. I finished my first singles, like the first half of my fiber. I finished it, and so this is the finished first half of my fiber. For this one, the color changes are a lot longer than the second half will be, and it's looking really pretty. I love the bright colors on this, and for me, spinning the fiber, it's fun, but I think what makes it really fun for me is looking at all of the pretty colors for the hand-dyed fiber. So this is what I have right now. I did start the second half, but it is on my wheel, and I just didn't feel like taking it out of the wheel. I don't like breaking the fiber off if I don't have to. It's very easy to rejoin, but I just prefer not to. So I didn't want to take it off of my wheel. I was too lazy, basically. But this is the finished first half. And yeah, we're just spinning for the happy vibes, and it's feeling great. I think I mentioned this before, but this is my second ever Targhee spin, but it's the first time I'm I'm spinning it at this weight. The first time I was trying to make it thicker, so it ended up being like a DK worsted weight yarn, and this time I'm trying to make like a fingering or sport weight yarn with the Targhee. So I'm very curious to see how this ends up applying together and looking and feeling like when it becomes the yarn. But yeah, this is my finished first half of my fiber. Did not work on my sweater spin this week, but just because I was just knitting a lot this week. But yeah, okay, so that's it for the spinning. I have some acquisitions to share with you this week as we transition into our chatting section. So first I forgot to talk about these acquisitions last week. I got some things from my friends in my knitting group here in Seattle, so let me hold them up. Okay, I got these needle stoppers from my friend Megan. Thank you, Megan. They're very cute. They feel very me. Oh my gosh, camera focus, please. There's winking watermelons and then some unicorns, and I think that they're just so cute. And I feel like needle stoppers I think I've bought like one pair once because I wanted to see if they were helpful, and then I was just like, I just don't think they're worth it. Sometimes for projects, especially if they're squished on my needles, I was like, I would love to have some of these, but yeah, they're one of those things that I feel like are like, if I got them or someone gave them to me, I would use them a bunch, but they're not things I would feel like worth it for me to buy for myself, if that makes sense. So thank you, Megan. These are going to get a lot of use out of them, and they're also so cute, so yeah, that makes me happy. And then I got a stitch marker from my friend Aviana. Let me show it to you. It's this little cat. I will try and hold it here and do this thing with my hand to block my eyes, so hopefully eventually it'll focus while I talk about it. It's this cute little cat, and it's so cute, and I'm going to put it on one of my new projects this week. Look how cute it is. Okay, yeah, so thank you, Aviana, for the stitch marker. Okay, then I've got a couple more things to talk about. So actually, yeah, let's like transition into talking about the event that I went to yesterday. Yesterday was Saturday, as I'm filming this, not when this is uploaded. And Sari Nordlund, if you don't know or haven't heard of her, is a knitwear designer, and I have loved her designs ever since I think I discovered her. My first ever test knit ever was a Sari Nordlund test knit. It was a Foxberry pullover, and it was a great experience. That's when I was like, I want to do test knits. It went great. I love this sweater. I really like a lot of her designs. I love her aesthetic and just everything. I'm a big fan of hers, and so when I heard that she was going to be at La Mercerie, which is a yarn store on Bainbridge Island, which is quite easy to get to from here in Seattle, I was like, I have to go because she's not from America. And so I was like, I don't know when I'm going to ever get the opportunity to meet her again. And so, yeah, she flew all the way here. I still can't believe she was like here in Seattle. And I was like, I gotta meet her. Thankfully, I also have knitting friends who are a big fan of hers as well. And so we all went together, me, Sylvan, and Katie. And yeah, we made a whole day out of it, a whole trip. So we signed up for the brunch with Sari Nordlund on Saturday morning, and she gave a really awesome presentation about her book. And if you haven't heard of it, she recently wrote and released a book called Softly, Timeless Knits. And oh my gosh, it is a gorgeous book. I needed it. I have it. And yeah, so the first half of the brunch, she was giving a presentation about how the whole process was, like what it was like to write this book and all of the kind of like decisions she had to make. And, you know, some things didn't get into the book and some things changed from what her vision of it was, and how she decided what patterns to put in the book. And I thought the whole thing was so fascinating to hear about. She is a great person. Her vibe the whole day was like, because I wasn't sure what to expect. I know she has, so I watch her YouTube videos, and so I kind of like knew how she sounded like and kind of maybe how she acted, but she was so fun. She had a really fun vibe. She made jokes, and she was really funny, and also like down to earth, and very like, you could tell that she was just being very honest about the whole process about the book, which I think is really awesome. And you could tell she was so proud about how this book came out, and it was just so amazing to see like and hear about her talk about like, again, like the whole process of her book, because she even talked about like her first book, which kind of just like did not go the way that she wanted it to. And so this book that just came out is actually her second book, and that she really had a big vision for it and how she wanted it to look. And I think she felt really proud about it, and it came out even better than what she was hoping. And it was really great to see her like promote it and just be really proud of it. And I just really want to support her because she's amazing. So yeah, it was just such a great time. La Mercerie was like, I feel like the perfect place. It was so cute because Sari said that if she made a yarn store, that she would want it to look just like how La Mercerie looks. And the whole layout was really cute, and I know they worked really hard to put the event together, and you could tell, and it was just such a good time. It felt so like calm, and just like we just like all loved, I don't know, the vibe was just like great. We were all just like there to be loving and positive and loving the knits and all of that. So I don't know. It was just a great time. So speaking of that, because we were at the yarn store, I did get some things. So let's see. I got this one fiber braid because I don't know why I forgot in my mind that La Mercerie carries fiber. And they had some new fiber that wasn't there the last time I was there, and so I got one. This is still in the bag. I just don't want to crinkle it too much to make the audio like really loud, but this is the one braid of fiber I got yesterday. It is from Union Fiber. I have not gotten anything from this brand before, and this is a 80/20 Corriedale nylon fiber. And so this is I believe that this is my first fiber that has nylon in it, so I'm very curious to see how this will work up. I would probably turn this into socks. That'll probably be what the end result is for this, but we will see how I make decisions on this in the future. But I love the coloring on this, and yeah, so I wanted to try it out. And then, because we were all there to meet Sari and talk about her book, there were already like almost every pattern in that book I want to make. There is one in particular that I am really, really wanting to make. I say that, but I actually want to make everything. But there is one that really caught my eye the first time I saw it, and it is the Asopo cardigan, and I do have the book with me here. But let me try and show you this picture. So this is the cardigan that I'm talking about. But, so this one is a long version. It has pockets and it has a belt, a knitted belt. But there is also a short version of this cardigan. And let me try and find a picture. Oh, here. It's the same pattern, but just shorter. It's more cropped, and it doesn't have the belt, it doesn't have the pockets, but I think it looks so cute and casual, but cozy, and like you can wear it out, you can wear it in. Like, I really want that. And I know, so the yarn is black in this picture, but you might be able to see on the sleeve here that there's some cables on the sleeve, and I think it's really cute. Ooh, Sari also brought some of the samples in the book to the store, and one of them was this cardigan, and I'm so happy she brought it because I really wanted to see it in person. And I tried them both on, and they're so cute. So I was like, while I'm here, I want to buy yarn for it, because in the longer white version, I believe that she used the Dererum Natura Gilead yarn, and I love that yarn. Tried it on in the, I love that yarn in general. I've used it before, but I also loved it in the cardigan. And she used a different yarn for the short version, but I wanted to use the Dererum Natura yarn for the short version. So I ended up getting some yarn to make this cardigan. And I got it in the Poivre. It is definitely not how you say it. I will have the name actually written out in the description below, but it is this, I would say maybe, would you call this like a medium gray? It's because it's not a light gray, it's not a dark gray, and it's actually kind of a brownish gray. I don't know if it's just the lighting I have right now, but it's gray. It's gray. And I think I wanted something, I'm kind of worried about having white cardigans or just white sweaters, white garments in general. Although I do love the look of that the white long version of the cardigan, but I'm worried about it getting dirty. And then I was like, oh, I'd love like a dark brown. But then you wouldn't be able to see the cables. So I was like, gray would be great, I think, I hope. I think it will be. So I'm very excited for this as well. I just had to get it. I cannot wait to work with this yarn again. I don't remember the last time I worked with this yarn. It might have been my shacket, which I made last year. And I love that shacket. I want to make another one in the exact same yarn base. So, but before that, I guess we're going to make this cardigan, the Asopo cardigan, in the Gilead yarn. So I'm very excited for that. And so that is what I ended up doing. I felt very strongly like we're here for Sari, and I see the actual pattern or like the samples of the cardigan, and I just felt like I should get it. Also, that way I'm not paying, if I want to buy it in the future, I wouldn't pay for shipping to ship from the yarn store to my home since I'm there. I just get it there. Anyway, that is what happened. That is what I bought yesterday. And now that I am holding up the book, I also want to mention, so because she was there, she was signing people's books, and oh, she is just so sweet. I also got a picture with her, and oh, she's so nice. And yeah, so she signed my book, and I feel very, this book it's also just a gorgeous book. I think I've talked about this book like when I got it, but like it is a really gorgeous looking book. Hardcover, like, yeah, you can tell she put in a lot of effort in this book, and I think I've said the word book like 20 times, but now I have a signed copy. I wore my Fika pullover to the event because I think it was the right move. My friends also, when I asked them, I was like, what do I wear? Because I have so many Sari Nordlund knits, and they were like, I think Fika is the right choice. It is my all-over cabled red sweater that I made last year, and I wore it to the event, and I think Sari recognized it when she signed my book. She said, oh, what is your name? And I said, Ariel, and she said, oh, of course. She's like, I recognize faces, but it's harder to like get the names, and I am the same way. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I think she recognized me and my sweater. So that was amazing. Oh my gosh. So it was just such a great time yesterday, and this book it's forever going to be with me. I don't know. Okay. And then I do want to give a quick shout out because I there was another knitting friend who was at the event yesterday. The first time I met her was actually at Flock, and so seeing her again at the brunch event, I was like, oh my gosh, like a familiar face. And she was so kind, and she got me a card and some gifts. She got me a couple barber cords, which was so kind of her. Her name is Sophia. I hope it's okay that I mention you on the podcast. Thank you so much, Sophia. You're so sweet. You did not have to, but it was so great to see you at the event as well and get to knit with you for a little bit. And yeah, thank you. You are so kind. And with that, I think that is all I have for today to talk about. I hope that you are all having a great day on whichever day you are watching this. And yeah, we are getting a little bit more daylight than before. I think we're slowly increasing the daylight, and so lighting is not too bad today, even though I'm filming a bit later in the afternoon. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye!